All right, assisted living fans. Now, I don't know if I made a video on this already, and if I did, it probably was months ago, but this is a video I wanted to do because I feel like anytime I even mention assisted living, one or two things occur in regards to how fans respond. This show sucks, and is Madea going to show up? So this video will just be me giving my 2 cents on whether or not Madea will show up in assisted living. And before going further, just do the usual: like the video, hit subscribe, click the bell to turn on all notifications, and links to all my various social media accounts are in the description below. I'm talking Facebook groups, Twitter, Facebook page, Instagram, all that good stuff down below. I do not think Madea will show up in season 1. Now, I don't think it's an impossibility for Madea to show up in the series. I mean, to be completely honest, if you go to my episode review for this week's episode, what was it, episode 15, Defiance, I talked about how I don't think that Sandra and Philip bring anything to the show, and they honestly shouldn't even be on there because of the fact that things did get interesting when it was brought up about Vinny getting a DNA test. And correct me if I'm Vinny and Cora getting a DNA test, or correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that one of the agreements that Brown and Cora would sign the papers to get the $40,000 to help renovate the place if Vinny decided to get the DNA test? I mean, that was one of the talking points, and I felt like, yeah, that's like something that was like literally the first interesting thing that I'm like, oh snap, let's see what happened. Vinny and Madea hooked up, and he might be Cora's daddy. Now, it's one of those situations where I feel like that storyline's been dropped to the wayside. I mean, Brown might kind of use a throwaway line about, oh, I'm not your daddy, and that's about it. So I really do feel when it comes down to it, Madea has been name dropped in like almost every episode since Brown and Cora showed up. At least 5 to 6 either jokes or Cora telling stories about being raised by Madea have been brought up, and people want to know, is Madea going to show up? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. And remember, I know I'm most likely wrong because I'm talking about territory that I'm not as familiar with as Having Have Nots or Loving You Is Wrong or Greenleaf. Madea was mentioned, but she never appeared in the Meet the Brown series. Yay or nay? Let me know in the comments. I don't believe Madea ever appeared in the Meet the Brown series, but she was definitely brought up before. So I don't think that it's an impossibility for Madea to make no more than, I guess you could say, word of mouth. Like, she'll be mentioned, she'll be referenced, she'll be joked about, but she'll never appear in the actual series. Not to mention, Tyler Perry made it pretty clear during the opening, I guess you could say the beginning stages of his deal with Viacom. He was going to focus more on being behind the camera than instead of being in front of the camera. And that makes a lot of sense. Like, I know this is random comparison, but Kevin Fredericks, I follow this guy for years. I'm part of the Patreon, the stage crew, and I love looking at his his Kevin on Stage Studios blowing up the way it is now, from the keep the distance comedy streams he does every other weekend, his funny videos, the Here's the Thing podcast, and before that, Righteous and Ratchet. And he has a new app coming out too, and I can't wait to pay for that service, which is like what, $5.99 a month. And he talks about how I want to help other people blow up. I want to help other people get out there, in a way doing a very Tyler Perry-esque kind of thing where he's going to focus more on uplifting others, not just making himself rich. And he talks about how he wants to focus more on that and creating and working on the app. So you won't see Kevin in like movies and anything just yet. He might be in some projects, but he's going to focus more on behind the scenes and then occasionally appear to do, different things. And I feel like that's what Tyler Perry's doing. Like, he's doing more behind the scenes work because, truth be told, more often than not, the people behind the camera, the people who write the songs, the people who do things that aren't in the spotlight make more money than those who actually are out there. I mean, it's kind of different with Tyler Perry since he does it all. But in this case, Tyler Perry's definitely working more with showcasing talent, giving people opportunities, and doing his, thing as Madea, or, just playing a character and this or that. So, and not to mention, he already said he retired Madea. Now, he's recently said, I think around the time that the Madea farewell play came to the BET app, that he might bring her back. But I don't think Madea is going to appear in season 1. Maybe in season 2, but I honestly don't. If Madea didn't show up at all in Assisted Living, I don't think I would be surprised. But she's been referenced so many times that I think that it reminds me of Fuller House, which I only made like 6. I made it through like 6 episodes. It was a show that when it first came on, you can tell they were really laying it on thick about the Full House references from like the Oh My Lanta. And even in the first episode, they just threw in so many things from the original series. Some like New Kids on the Block, Uncle Jesse singing Forever. At the end of the episode, the characters standing by the baby crib singing the Flintstone theme song, recreating the opening. They really wanted to lay it on thick, like, hey, remember Full House? Well, that's us. We're just older. It's almost like with Assisted Living. Hey, it's Core and Brown, but how about we throw in Madea jokes and references every episode? So I think that fans would be disappointed if Madea didn't show up because of how heavily and heavy-handed they're laying on the Madea content, but I don't think she's going to show up. It would be interesting, though, for 2 reasons. Number 1, for her and Vinny to interact. Number 2, if it turns out Vinny really is the father and you could see Madea rolling up for child support, I think that would be funny as hell. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If Madea showed up, let's be real, ratings would go through the roof for that particular episode and maybe the one right after it. But after Madea shows up, I don't think ratings would, just be at that all-time high. Well, matter of fact, let me just use this as an example. I want to pull up Love Thy Neighbor because honestly, I haven't thought about that show in forever. And I want to look to see if I can find the ratings for the episodes. If I can, this would be a big help because this would be a great example. Just bear with me. Okay. Madea. All right. Yeah, Madea showed up in season 3. Now, I don't see any ratings for season 2, so I'm going to use season 1. Season 1 had ratings of 1 million, a lot of 0.9s, 0.8s, a couple of points. Overall, season 1 did pretty well. Season 3, I'm seeing a lot more of 0.6s, 0.7s. But when Madea was there, 1 million and 0.9. So the ratings definitely spiked up when Madea showed up. So I'm thinking that when it comes to Assisted Living, let me see if I can find the ratings for that. Just one moment, please. Ratings have actually been doing pretty well. I don't see the ratings for episode 15 just yet, but I'm pretty sure that if Madea was announced to be on an episode, it'll be like at 0.9 or above 1 million, no doubt. But I don't know. Madea might show up, Madea might not. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you want Madea to show up? If she shows up, what do you think will happen? Obviously, I think Madea would get Sandra's behind in line. I know that will probably happen. But other than that, yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.